I'll be right there, Brad. So, what's happening?
What?
What's happening?
Nothing.
What's this?
What's what?
Look, fella, you're beginning to push the limits.
Hey, boss, what's next?
You're getting to be rather difficult, you know. I'm finding my patience is running thin.
A smart guy like you shouldn't get frustrated that easily. Here, catch.
Enough of this nonsense. Let's get back to work.
In school they told me you just got to know science and socials and how to sit in a row. But then they scold me when I want to know, is it all true and what am I learning it for? Open my eyes, there is much more to see, something more real and more free. Open my eyes, there is much more to see, something more real and more free. Downtown they told me, put on a good show, play the right music, make sure you wear the right clothes. They try to mold me, I want to say no. Isn't there some other better way I can go? Open my eyes, I am starting to see something more real and more free. Open my eyes, I am starting to see something more real and more free. Have we rejected the truth of God's plan? All of his purposes for the world and for man. Well, Jesus showed me what God had in mind, living and dying in perfect love for mankind. Open your eyes, are you starting to see something more real and more free? Open your eyes, are you starting to see something more real and more free? Something more real, something more real.
Hey, very good. Very good. Just like they do them at the factory.
Just like they do at the factory, just like they do, who's they? That's the story of my life. How about doing it like Brad wants it for a change? Maybe that's a standard you never thought of. Hey, Ron, let me do it my way, hey? But no way. Brad's way isn't good enough. It's too different. Nobody does it his way. They know how to do it better.
You're right. There are different ways this could be done. It's just that when Mrs. Walker receives her chair, she'll want to find it looking good. And I have an idea that her idea of looking good would be much like it was when she bought it new.
So what? Who's to say she's right? She's locked into the same system, too.
Come on, Brad. Like it or not, there are a few limits.
You're hard to live with, Ron.
Why do you say that?
You don't bend or give. You're so tight, I bet you wouldn't even tip a canoe.
You know, Brad, I've noticed that you don't take criticism very well. You have to start taking responsibility for who you are. You're going to have to take bigger steps.
The bigger steps you take, the fewer you take. Hey, yeah. That way you don't wear out your tennis shoes so fast. I hadn't thought of that.
There. I think we need another screw. Would you mind getting it, please?
Sure.
Hello.
Hello? Oh, Becky, is that you?
Yes, Rand, I'm here. Mom and Dad are gone till late tonight. Might be better if you call back then and talk this whole thing over.
No, Becky. Get it. know I've never been able to talk to Mom and Dad. I've had enough of the hassles and the crying parties. You know as well as I do how unreasonable they can be. All they ever do is complain about my friends, my clothes, my music.
So why do you keep calling here all the time then?
I don't know. Just to keep in touch, I guess. See how things are going with you. So how's school?
Same old thing. Classes are boring and the teachers are ridiculous, except for Mr. Foster. Everybody likes him. He's funny. Mom and Dad keep talking the usual about the importance of a good education and how I'm going out too much and that I've got to spend more time doing homework or else they'll make my curfew earlier.
I don't know how you stand it there. That's why I got out. I couldn't take all the rules.
Is that the only reason you left home?
No, not really. But it was a big part. It bugged me to no end that they had my whole life planned out for me. Study business administration, then join Dad at the family business and take over the family legacy. Just never asked me what I wanted to do. If there was something that I was good at or that I would enjoy doing. I know that I'm hurting them. First, I was glad I was hurting them. I wanted them to make them feel some of the pain that I felt. Most of all, I wanted to get away from Dad's self-made man theories and theology. Now I don't know what I want.
What about your responsibility to us?
Sis, don't do that to me. And when it comes down to that, what about Mom and Dad's responsibility to us? I think that includes a little more than shoving their values down our throats with all their rules, giving us monologues on appreciation.
Randy, you're part of our family. That means you have responsibility to us, whether you want to hide from it or not. And Mom and Dad want you to be part of their church family, too.
Well, that's just too bad. My responsibility to Mom and Dad ended when they failed to live up to their obligations to me. I don't want to be a part of a church family that uses religion as a crutch to prove their get-rich-quick schemes, let alone show that they're the chosen people and everyone else is wrong.
Randy, I think you're hiding behind your words and ignoring the issue. You're so busy pointing out the problems of everyone else that you can't...
Sis, I gotta go.
Oh, Chris.
Hi, Sharon. How are you today?
Just fine, thanks.
Good.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Hello, Ron.
Oh, hi, Chris.
How's it going, Brad?
I'm going for that Coke you promised me, Ron. Or you two agonize over my progress report.
Make sure you remember to come back.
Yeah, sure.
What's it like being his social worker?
Let me ask you, what's it like working with him?
Have you ever tried tying your shoe inside a revolving door?
He told us a lot about him when he was assigned to us, but, well, now that we know him, we're even more in the dark about how to help him.
Has he been much trouble to you?
Not really. He's a challenge, though.
He works well with his hands when he wants to. But he keeps people at a distance, pushes them away by the way he speaks to them.
Some of his comments really bite.
So you noticed. You know, that mischief covers up a lot, causes a lot of problems, too.
Well, what can we do?
Just keep up the relationship and continue spending time with him.
We will. It'll take time, but I think it'll be worth it.
I would encourage you in that. Well, it was nice seeing you again. I've got to run.
Okay.
See you next week.
Okay?
Good.
Okay,
Bye-bye,
bye-bye.
Chris. Thanks for dropping in.
Every morning, the sun rises over this piece of land, just as it has for years and years. Except for the birds flying overhead and a jackrabbit passing through occasionally, it's a setting of peace and stability. Sagebrush and rocks pin the fuzzy coat of prairie wool grass to the brown, fertile soil beneath. But one day, something changes. The farmer who owns this land has decided to break up the soil and turn it into productive wheatland. these years, this brown dirt has been hiding here under the grass, quiet and undisturbed. But now it can't hide anymore. Cruel? Maybe. But for a purpose. Next year, the farmer will seed it, and soon the field will change color, from brown to green as the grain begins to grow. Its roots will go deep into the rich soil. In time, there will be a beautiful harvest of grain. In a way, the soil is like people. People covering up, hiding from new opportunities, from things God wants to teach them. So he cuts and lays bare what's underneath. It may seem harsh, but it's the best way.
You're back. Terrific. We're really going to have to hustle on this thing now.
I'd have been back sooner, but I had to level this kid at the corner store in a video game. Boy, was he useless, and it was his last quarter, too.
Okay, let's get back to it.
I don't see why you just can't admit that it's taking you longer than you thought it would. Why does it have to be done today?
I promised her it would be ready today.
Oh, come on, that's not the point.
Huh?
It's just that you can't admit to not getting it done.
What's with all this analysis?
I've been around enough people who want to help me, the poor kid, to know something about all these games we play with ourselves.
You really think life is just a series of games?
Who knows? But I wish you people would lay off me for a change and look at yourselves. Everyone's always complaining that I keep too much inside of me and that I'm covering up and all that. But it's the same for all you guys.
You think we're trying to hide something?
Everyone's on his guard. No one's really open. How about looking at yourself, admitting some of your negative characteristics? I assume you have some.
Sure. Just ask Sharon. And admitting that to myself isn't easy.
We tend to block off what we can't see. This can happen, for example, when we stand beside a large body of water like the ocean. We see the mountains and valleys on the land around us, but think of the ocean as a straight horizon line. Actually, the mountains and the valleys above the surface are merely extensions of what exists below the surface. At first glance, it would seem that the ocean waves appear only on the surface, and that there is perfect stillness below. This assumption is wrong. The ocean is in fact quite active below. For example, when a river discharges fresh water into seawater, the fresh water stays on top because seawater is heavier. The interaction of the two densities causes below the surface waves. Waves so strong that they can significantly affect the speed of ships traveling through. Ocean water also contains a number of gases. For example, there are some places in the ocean where the water is not able to circulate freely. If almost no oxygen is present in the water, hydrogen sulfide gas is formed. Except for some bacteria, no marine life can live in this water. If such water is collected and brought to the surface and exposed, smell like rotten eggs will very quickly fill the air. Internal waves are also generated as a result of temperature differences. These waves, although moving with less energy than surface waves, are significant enough to cause submarines to rise and fall, something like ships on the surface. A wave on the surface will rise to about 60 feet. Waves below the surface can go as high as 300 feet. In contrast to the blue-green surface in the sunlight, there is darkness below. Below 600 feet, the water is inky black. Closer to the surface, eels with beady eyes and sharks move about looking for food. In some waters, fragile-looking fish and creatures with prickly skins move about. Down deep in the blackness, colorful plants and animals survive. If it's true that we tend to block off what we can't see, we miss a whole lot of interesting things when we casually look at the ocean horizon. We haven't even mentioned sunken ships, lost treasures and pearls, or underwater sea gardens, valuable minerals and volcanoes, or old sinks, tires, and pop cans. Yes, there can be a lot happening below the surface.
Finally, it's finished.
I better get this thing delivered before you get in trouble.
Think you can handle it?
Does an airplane fly? Does a video machine take quarters? Does a social worker ever miss doing her report? Hey? Hey?
We'll see ya.
See you, Brad. I'm sure Mrs. Walker would have understood if you were a bit late with it.
You know, that guy's really on the ball. He thinks a lot. It's tough for him to open up to other people, and yet he seems to have an awareness of what's going on inside.
He's been hurt so much in the past that he guards himself against people. I guess it's safer that way.
And you don't have to risk opening yourself up to another person.
Elijah was a man who lived many years ago in Bible times. His calling in life was to tell people in his country what God wanted them to do. Now, people don't always like what God tells them, and so it was with the people Elijah talked to, especially the king and queen. As a matter of fact, the queen got so angry about what he said and did that she threatened to kill him. Poor Elijah. He was afraid and ran for his life out into the desert alone. Weary and discouraged, he sat down under a bush. "I've had enough," he told God. "Take away my life. I've got to die sometime, and it might as well be now." Then he lay down and fell asleep. But as he was sleeping, an angel touched him and told him to get up and eat. Strangely enough, a hot meal was waiting beside him. With the strength that he got from that food, he traveled for many days. He came to a mountain where he went into a cave to live. And there God began to speak to him about his discouragement. "Go out and stand before me on the mountain," the Lord said to him. As Elijah stood there, a mighty windstorm hit the mountain, so strong that even the rocks were torn loose. After the wind, there was an earthquake, and after the earthquake, a fire, and after the fire, there was a sound of a gentle whisper. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his scarf and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. A voice asked him, "Why are you here, Elijah?" And Elijah told him all of his troubles. "They have killed every one of your prophets except me, and now they are trying to kill me too." "Go back," the Lord told him. "There is more work for you to do." And he told Elijah about another 7,000 people who were still faithful to God, just like Elijah. So Elijah left the cave in the mountain and went out to do what God told him to do. And as he went, he knew that God was going with him.
Well, let's get this place cleaned up. I think the first step to coming out of hiding is to be aware that we do hide from others and from ourselves and God.
It's not always easy to accept ourselves the way we really are.
And to figure out who we are, or should be.
You know, Sharon, since God made us as our maker, He wants to show us what we were intended to be.
The fact that He knows me as I really am and still loves me releases me from the need to hide. It frees me to be the person He created me to be.
Jesus, I wandered on my own. I tried to hide every weakness, a loser still feeling all alone. I'm going back to the Master to face the wrong I've done. How can there be such forgiving grace, restored and complete? I will fall at his feet with new courage to live in his way. The farmer waits for the harvest. The watchman waits for the dawn. I'll learn to wait on his guidance and trust him when it seems I can't go on. I'm going back to the Master to face the wrong I've done. How can there be such forgiving grace, restored and complete? I will fall at his feet with new courage to live in his way. I'm going back to the Master to face the wrong I've done. How can there be such forgiving grace, restored and complete? I will fall at his feet with new courage to live in his way.
Rooftops. All kinds of them. With all kinds of people living under them. Some of them busy people, others with free time. Some of them lonely, needing encouragement, wanting help. Ever feel that way? Well, there's something that can give you the lift you need. The Third Story magazine. It contains some of the items from the shows, articles about people in real-life situations, songs, plus additional features. Something for the whole family. And it's free, with no further obligation. You can have it by writing to The Third Story, Box 2, Station F, Winnipeg, Manitoba. That's The Third Story, Box 2, Station F, Winnipeg, Manitoba. We'll be waiting to hear from you.